The gunshot echoed through the canyon, followed by the sound of hooves pounding across dry earth as Bethany Lewis clutched her worn leather satchel against her swelling belly, praying the rickety stagecoach would outrun her past. It was 1875 in the New Mexico Territory, and at 22 years old, she had already discovered how quickly a respectable woman could become a pariah. "Keep your head down, miss," the driver shouted from above as another bullet whizzed past. Apache territory ahead might lose him there. Bethany ducked lower, wincing as the coach hit a rut. The other passengers, a traveling salesman and an elderly couple, stared at her rounded middle with thinly veiled disgust. She'd grown accustomed to those looks in the 5 months since John had disappeared, leaving her alone with his child and a reputation in tatters. The stagecoach lurched violently, then tilted at a sickening angle. Bethany heard the driver curse as the vehicle came to a grinding halt. "Wheels broke," he announced, climbing down. "Everybody out while I assess the damage." The passengers disembarked, the old woman muttering, "Lord's punishment for carrying sin among us," as she passed Bethany. The driver wiped sweat from his brow. "Axle split clean through. We'll need to make camp till the next coach comes through day after tomorrow." "I won't share a campsite with her," the elderly man proclaimed, pointing at Bethany. "My wife and I are God-fearing folk." The driver looked uncomfortable but didn't argue. "Madam, perhaps you could set up a bit apart from the others? Just till morning." Tears stung Bethany's eyes as she gathered her meager belongings. She had left everything behind in Missouri: her teaching position, her family who couldn't bear the shame. The man who had promised to marry her then vanished with the traveling show that had rolled through town. She was headed to her mother's cousin in Tucson, the only person who had responded to her desperate letters. As she walked away from the group, the baby kicked, a reminder that whatever happened, she wasn't truly alone. Night fell quickly in the desert, the temperature dropping as stars blanketed the sky. Bethany had managed a small fire, but lacked proper supplies for the night. She rubbed her hands together, trying to keep warm as coyotes howled in the distance. The sound of approaching hoofbeats sent a spike of fear through her chest. Bandits? The men who'd been pursuing the stagecoach? She extinguished her fire with a handful of dirt and retreated behind a large boulder. A single rider emerged from the darkness, silhouetted against the moonlight. Tall and broad-shouldered atop a chestnut stallion, he reined his horse to a stop near the remains of her fire. "Hello," his deep voice called out. "I mean no harm. Saw your fire from the ridge." Bethany remained silent, one hand protectively covering her belly. The stranger dismounted, the spurs on his boots jingling softly. "I know someone's there. It's dangerous to be alone in these parts. Apache raiding party's been through recently." "Stay back," Bethany finally called, emerging slightly. "I have nothing worth stealing." The man held up his hands. "Not here to steal, madam. Name's Adam Yates. I run cattle about 10 miles east of here." In the moonlight, she could make out a weathered face framed by dark hair, a strong jaw covered in stubble, and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. "The stagecoach broke down," she explained cautiously. "They're camped over the ridge." Adam nodded slowly, his gaze dropping to her stomach before returning to her face without judgment. "And they left you out here alone?" Bethany lifted her chin. "By mutual agreement." Understanding crossed his features. "I see." He removed his hat, revealing thick hair that curled slightly at the nape of his neck. "Madam, I can't in good conscience leave a woman in your condition alone out here. My ranch isn't far. You'd be safe there until the next stage comes through. Why would you help me? You don't know me." Adam replaced his hat. "My ma taught me better than to abandon someone in need." He gestured to his horse. "Midnight here is strong enough to carry us both." Bethany hesitated. Going with a stranger held its own dangers, but the night was cold, and the coyotes were getting closer. "I promise on my honor, you'll be safe," Adam added softly. Something in his steady gaze convinced her. Gathering her bag, she approached. "Bethany Lewis," she introduced herself. Adam helped her onto his horse before mounting behind her, his arms creating a secure circle around her as he took the reins. "Hold tight, Miss Lewis. We'll have you somewhere warm soon enough." The ride to Adam's ranch took nearly an hour, during which Bethany fought exhaustion, occasionally leaning back against his solid chest. When they crested a hill, she saw lights in the distance. "Home," Adam said simply. The ranch was modest, but well-kept, a main house built of sturdy logs, a barn, corral, and bunkhouse. As they approached, a dog barked a greeting, and a weathered man emerged from the bunkhouse. "Everything all right, boss?" he called. "Found a stranded passenger from the northbound stage, Cooper," Adam replied, dismounting before gently helping Bethany down. "Wool broke on their coach." Cooper's eyes widened slightly at Bethany's condition, but he merely nodded. "I'll take care of midnight." Adam guided Bethany toward the main house. "My housekeeper, Mrs. Fitzgerald, will have turned in for the night, but I can wake her." "Please don't," Bethany interrupted. "I've caused enough trouble." Inside, the house was simple but comfortable, polished wood floors, a stone fireplace, and furniture that spoke of practicality rather than luxury. Adam stoked the dying embers in the fireplace until they blazed anew. "Are you hungry?" he asked. Bethany nodded, suddenly aware she hadn't eaten since morning. Adam disappeared into the kitchen, returning with bread, cold beef, and a jar of preserves. "It's not much," he apologized. "It's perfect," she assured him, trying not to devour the food too quickly. While she ate, Adam sat across from her, his expression thoughtful. "Where are you headed, if you don't mind my asking?" "Tucson. My mother's cousin lives there." "That's a long journey for a woman in your condition." Bethany stiffened. "I had little choice. No one wanted a fallen woman teaching their children." Adam's eyes softened. "I didn't mean judgment, Miss Lewis. Only concern." Something about his gentle tone broke through her defenses. "The baby's father was with a traveling show. He promised marriage, then disappeared." She laughed bitterly. "A tale as old as time, I suppose." "His loss," Adam said simply. Bethany looked up sharply, searching his face for mockery, but found only sincerity. "I've prepared the spare room," he said, rising. "You should rest." The bedroom was small but clean, with a patchwork quilt covering the bed. Bethany sank into it gratefully, sleep claiming her almost immediately. Morning brought the aroma of coffee and bacon. Bethany dressed quickly and found Adam in the kitchen with an older woman who was vigorously kneading dough. "Ah, there she is," the woman said warmly. "I'm Mrs. Fitzgerald. You poor dear, traveling in your condition. Come, sit down." Throughout breakfast, Mrs. Fitzgerald chattered about ranch life, seemingly unbothered by Bethany's situation. Adam spoke little, but Bethany caught him watching her with a thoughtful expression. "I should return to the stagecoach," Bethany said after finishing her meal. "They'll be wondering what happened to me." "They left you alone in the wilderness," Adam replied, a rare edge to his voice. "I doubt they're concerned." Mrs. Fitzgerald clicked her tongue disapprovingly. "People can be cruel." When my Maggie found herself in a similar situation, the church ladies nearly ran her out of Pittsburgh. Bethany felt a rush of gratitude for this simple acceptance. "The next stage isn't due for another day," Adam said. "You're welcome to stay until then." The day passed peacefully. Bethany rested on the porch, watching Adam work with his men. There was something captivating about the way he moved, confident but never harsh, respected without demanding it. In the afternoon, she walked to the corral where Adam was training a young horse. He spotted her and handed the reins to a ranch hand before approaching. "Feeling better after some rest?" he asked. "Much. Your home is lovely." Adam gazed across his property. "Been building it up for 7 years now. Started with nothing but this land and a few cattle." "You've accomplished a great deal. Still work to be done." He hesitated. "Would you like to see the rest of the place?" They walked together, Adam pointing out improvements he planned to make. When they reached a small stream bordered by cottonwoods, they sat on a fallen log. "What will you do in Tucson?" Adam asked. Bethany sighed. "Find work, if anyone will hire me. Raise my child as best I can. It won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is." Adam smiled, the expression transforming his serious face. "A philosophy I share." That evening, after dinner, they sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the desert in fiery hues. Adam had been quiet, seemingly deep in thought. "My wife died," he said suddenly. 5 years ago. Childbirth. Lost the baby too." Bethany's heart ached for him. "I'm so sorry. Claire was everything. After, I threw myself into building this ranch. Didn't allow myself to think about what I'd lost." He looked at her. "Until yesterday, when I found you alone in the desert." Bethany didn't know how to respond, but the connection between them seemed to strengthen in the silence. The next morning, Cooper rode in with news. Stage won't be coming through until next week. Bridge washed out south of here. Bethany's heart sank. A week? But I can't impose. You're not imposing, Adam interrupted. Stay as long as you need. The days that followed established an unexpected rhythm. Bethany helped Mrs. Fitzgerald with household tasks, finding comfort in the normalcy. In the evenings, she and Adam would talk on the porch, sharing stories of their lives. She told him about her childhood in Missouri, her dream of being a teacher, the scandal that had forced her to flee. He described building his ranch from nothing, his hopes for the future, his grief over Claire. On the fourth day, while gathering eggs in the henhouse, Bethany overheard two ranch hands talking outside. Boss seems sweet on that pregnant girl, one said. Don't be ridiculous, the other replied. He's just being kind. No man wants to raise another man's bastard. The words stung, though they spoke only the truth. Whatever connection she felt with Adam, reality would always stand between them. That evening, when Adam joined her on the porch, Bethany kept her distance. Something troubling you? He asked. I leave in 3 days, she replied. I should focus on the journey ahead. Adam studied her. Did someone say something to upset you? No one needed to. I'm carrying another man's child, Adam. I'm not the kind of woman a respectable rancher courts. Adam's jaw tightened. Is that what you think of me? That I care about such things? The world cares. I'm not the world. He moved closer. Bethany, in the short time you've been here, I've seen your strength, your kindness, your dignity despite how poorly you've been treated. Those are the things that matter. Tears welled in her eyes. You deserve better than a woman who brings scandal to your doorstep. Adam took her hand. I think I can decide what I deserve. The moment was interrupted by shouting from the bunkhouse. Adam squeezed her hand before going to investigate. Later that night, Bethany couldn't sleep, her mind racing with thoughts of Adam, the baby, and the uncertain future. A sharp pain in her abdomen made her gasp. When it came again, stronger, fear gripped her heart. No, she whispered. Not yet. It's too early. She tried to stand, but doubled over as another contraction hit. With shaking hands, she lit the lamp and stumbled toward the door, calling out for help. Adam appeared almost instantly, hair tousled from sleep. One look at her face, and he understood. The baby's coming. Everything became a blur of pain and fear. Mrs. Fitzgerald was summoned, water was boiled, and Bethany was eased back into bed. Through the haze of agony, she heard Adam giving orders, his voice steady despite the panic in his eyes. It's too early, she gasped between contractions. Only 7 months. Mrs. Fitzgerald squeezed her hand. Babies come when they come, dear. We'll get through this. Hours passed in a fog of pain. Bethany's strength waned as dawn approached. In a moment of clarity, she grabbed Adam's hand. If I don't survive, don't talk like that. He cut her off, his voice fierce. Listen to me, she insisted. If I don't, please make sure my baby finds a good home. Adam's eyes shone with emotion. You're going to make it, and so is your child. With a final, tremendous effort, Bethany brought her daughter into the world just as the sun crested the horizon. The baby's cry was weak but present, a tiny miracle with a shock of dark hair. A beautiful girl, Mrs. Fitzgerald announced, cleaning and swaddling the infant. Exhausted but overwhelmed with love, Bethany cradled her daughter. Hello, little one. Adam stood nearby, his expression a mixture of awe and tenderness. She's perfect, he whispered. For 2 days, Bethany and her daughter, whom she named Sarah, remained in bed. The baby was small but determined, and Mrs. Fitzgerald declared her a fighter. Adam visited frequently, often sitting silently, watching mother and child with an unreadable expression. On the 3rd day, as Bethany sat in a chair near the window, Adam entered with a serious look. The stage will be through tomorrow, he said. Reality crashed back. Tomorrow she would leave this haven and face the world as an unwed mother. Yes, of course. We'll be ready. Adam paced the room before stopping before her. Don't go. Bethany's heart stuttered. What? Stay here. With me. He knelt beside her chair. I know it's sudden, but these past days, I've felt more alive than I have in years. Adam, people will talk. They'll say terrible things about you for taking in a woman like me. His expression hardened. Let them talk. I stopped caring about gossip long ago. And Sarah? She's not yours. Adam looked at the sleeping infant. She could be. If you'll let me, I'll raise her as my own. Love her as my own. He took Bethany's hand. That child is ours now, if you want it to be. Tears streamed down Bethany's face. Why would you do this? Because I'm falling in love with you, Bethany Lewis. Because I see a future when I look at you, and Sarah, the future I thought I'd lost forever. Bethany reached out, touching his face. I've been falling since the night you found me in the desert. Their first kiss was gentle, a promise of the life they might build together. The next day, when the stagecoach rolled through, Bethany wasn't on it. Instead, she stood on the porch of what was now her home, Sarah in her arms, watching as Adam directed his men in the corral. That evening, Adam proposed properly, with a simple ring that had belonged to his mother. It doesn't have to be right away, he assured her. We can wait until you're ready. Bethany didn't want to wait. They were married 2 weeks later by a traveling preacher, with Mrs. Fitzgerald and the ranch hands as witnesses. Some of the neighboring ranchers refused to attend, whispering about Adam taking up with a fallen woman, but others came, won over by Adam's quiet dignity and Bethany's grace. As summer faded into fall, the gossip gradually subsided. Adam formally adopted Sarah, his devotion to the child obvious to anyone who saw them together. Watching him rock her to sleep, singing off-key lullabies, Bethany often wondered how she had become so fortunate. Their first Christmas as a family, Adam presented Bethany with a deed. I bought the schoolhouse in town, he explained. It's been empty since the last teacher left. The town council has agreed to reopen it with you as the teacher. Bethany stared at him in disbelief. But my reputation has been reconsidered, Adam finished. Turns out being Mrs. Yates carries some weight around here, and they're desperate for someone qualified. In January, Bethany began teaching, bringing Sarah with her each day. Some parents initially kept their distance, but the children's enthusiasm and Bethany's obvious skill eventually won them over. By the time Sarah celebrated her first birthday, the circumstances of her birth were rarely mentioned. She grew into a spirited toddler with her mother's blue eyes and a laugh that made Adam's face light up with joy. On a warm evening in late spring, as they sat on their porch watching Sarah toddle after fireflies, Adam placed his hand on Bethany's stomach. How long have you known? He asked softly. Bethany smiled. A few weeks. I wanted to be certain before telling you. His eyes shone with tears. Another child. Our child. Are you happy? Adam pulled her close. Happier than I ever thought possible. He kissed her tenderly. When I found you that night, I was just trying to do the right thing. I never imagined you would save me too. Save you. From loneliness. From a life half-lived. He looked out at their home, their land, their daughter. You gave me a family, Bethany. A purpose beyond just surviving. In November, Bethany gave birth to a son they named James. As she watched Adam hold their children Sarah on his knee and James in his arms, she marveled at how completely her life had transformed in 2 short years. The woman who had been shamed and cast out had found not just shelter but love, respect, and a place to belong. The man who had lost everything had found the courage to open his heart again. And a child born of deception had become the beloved daughter of a cowboy who had chosen her as his own. 5 years later, the Yates Ranch had prospered, expanding to become one of the most successful in the territory. Their family had grown too. James had been joined by a sister, Emma. Sarah, now 6, was the spitting image of her mother, with the same determined spirit. One afternoon, while the children played in the yard, Adam found Bethany sitting under their favorite cottonwood tree. Penny for your thoughts, he said, settling beside her. I was just thinking about that night on the stagecoach. How terrified I was. She leaned against his shoulder. If that wall hadn't broken, I would have continued to Tucson. And I would never have found you. Adam wrapped his arm around her. Sometimes fate has better plans than we do. Sarah ran up to them, proudly displaying a wildflower crown she'd made. It's for you, Papa. Adam solemnly allowed her to place it on his head, not a trace of self-consciousness as his cowboys watched from the corral, grinning. How do I look? He asked his daughter. Like a king, she declared, throwing her arms around his neck. As Bethany watched her husband, rugged cowboy, and tender father wearing a crown of daisies with perfect dignity, she knew that sometimes what begins as shame can end in glory, and that love, when freely given, has the power to redeem even the most broken paths. That night, After the children were asleep, Adam and Bethany stood on their porch, looking up at the stars, the same stars that had witnessed their first meeting. "Any regrets?" Adam asked, his voice soft in the darkness. Bethany turned to him, taking in the face she had come to know better than her own. "Not a single one." Adam smiled, pulling her close. "Nor I. Every step, every hardship, let us hear." He kissed her, still with the same tenderness as their first kiss. And here is exactly where we belong. In the years that followed, the story of Adam and Bethany Yates became something of a legend in those parts. How a cowboy had found a desperate woman in the desert and declared her child his own. How love had flourished where judgment might have prevailed. How a family had been built not on convention but on choice. And in that choice was a power stronger than shame, stronger than the harsh judgments of society, the power to rewrite endings, to create family from strangers, to find redemption in the wild heart of the West.